What's going on, everybody? We're here after we just got through watching the latest episode of Agatha All Along. Let's see what everyone thinks about it right after this. How's everybody going? We just got through watching the latest episode, like I just said, of Agatha All Along. Got a full crew up in here to talk about it. Let's go down the line like we normally do, and let's talk about, because we literally just got through watching the episode. What's your initial thoughts, stuff like that on the episode? We'll start with Dilly.
Well, because I wasn't here for episodes 5 and episode 6 reviews, I just want to briefly say a few things about them, and then we'll get into episode 7. Episode 5, I agree that it wasn't the greatest of episodes, but there was some stuff in there that was really interesting to me about Agatha and her mother, and why Rio was so insistent that Agatha not be left with her mother, and then why Nicholas Scratch was the spirit that it was the answer to the trial, because it wasn't until it was Nicholas Scratch's name was said that the trial was over. So there was some interesting stuff in there that I wish they spent more than 2 minutes on, because they spent like less than 2 minutes on it and then went straight into killing Alice, which I didn't like, but I sort of understand, because I think the protection spell that was Lorna's ballad ended with a curse being killed. And then since there was like kind of that resolution of why Alice was there in episode 4, I get why she was the death that sort of triggered what had to happen with Billy, especially because he seemed so connected and close to Alice in episodes 3 and 4. I understand why they killed Alice, even though I don't like it. I love Alice and I wish she was still around. I'm really wondering if Agatha can control when she steals someone else's powers. So that made me wonder, like, and that ties into the whole stuff I wanted to explore more about her mother and all of that. So there's that. I also didn't need the Billie Eilish needle drop. That was just weird to me. It was jarring. Yeah. So episode 6, I love the backstory they gave us for William Kaplan, and I absolutely adore the sound design when after the car accident, when you can slowly hear William Kaplan's heart stop, then you hear the new audio they recorded of Billy and Tommy saying goodnight to each other in WandaVision, because that doesn't actually occur in WandaVision, and then you hear the sound of him, like his heart starting again, and he wakes up saying Tommy's name. I thought that sound design was brilliant. I love that we got more Evan Peters. He's always amazing as Ralph Boner. And the opposite look of the interrogation scene was very funny, and I love how like queer coded this show is, because that really appeals to me. I understand it's not for everyone. I also understand that Disney before wouldn't have had a very long scene with William kissing his boyfriend like that. It would have been very chaste and simple and quick, and it wasn't, and I appreciated that. Moving on to this episode tonight. I thought it was phenomenal. It's now my favorite episode of the season. That's replaced episode 6 as my favorite episode of the season. Lilia, Patti LuPone is just a goddess, and she was so good in this episode. I loved the different like characters that they were in the tower. I think that ties into Billy, and I'll get into that later, but this is just a quick breakdown of the episode. And I loved how we flashed around in time with Lilia in this episode. I just thought it was really well done. I thought it was directed really well, and it's my favorite episode so far. Sorry, that was a lot.
Right. One thing I will, because it happened again in this episode too, I'm perfectly fine with having gay characters and stuff like that, but I do think that like a couple of times in this series, like there's just jokes that don't have to be made. Like, I don't care about the whole kiss scene and him having a boyfriend and everything, but like in that one episode, it was like he's going back in the closet. He had to make a quip about that. And then in this episode, there's a word that starts with like QU. It was like Curtic or something, whatever it was. Yeah. And then he had to throw in like, oh, I'm queer in or whatever. It's like,
yeah, that was a little much. Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Yeah. Like, we don't have to make jokes about it. Like, the whole point in adding characters like that to media is for us to be cool with it and for us to get used to it, so that when we're around that thing or whatever it is that we're talking about at the time, like it becomes more normalized. Well, I'm sorry, you're not helping your cause when you do stuff like that.
But there are gay people that make jokes like that, so I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I'm just that particular part of it's not for me. I don't care about the other stuff. It's like it is what it is. They made to me him being that way, like as far as like being the gay character is like all natural fitting. That's my biggest complaint that I have sometimes is whenever it seems like it's not really whatever. Why are we even talking about that part or whatever? But I feel like it was actually done well in the show, just like in The Last of Us. They had an episode with two characters and they told a whole backstory, and it was like a gay relationship, and I had no issues with that because I thought it was actually really good and actually said it was the greatest love story told last year. So
yeah,
that would be.
I think it's been really well done in this series. I think it doesn't feel forced and it doesn't feel like super extra all the time. Some of like the joke in tonight's episode was pretty extra, but
like I'm saying, like if I were to have made that joke, let's say he doesn't make that joke in the episode, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that doesn't happen. But I'm a person over here playing with words and we're doing the review and I do that to it. I'm like, oh, well, we got the queer ick or whatever it was and did that. Like, I feel like I would have got some heat possibly because I'm making that joke. That's the thing to me that's like kind of weird about it. It's like, can we not just do that? Can we just be like whatever on that part? But that's just me. Because like I said, if I were to do that, somebody would have said that I was doing something wrong. If I would have made the same joke. If I would have been like,
a person making that joke would be a little bit different than a gay person making that joke. I would argue.
Well, I mean, I agree. I agree to a certain point, but like we're all trying to watch this and have fun together. But with that being said, Brandi, what did you think about tonight's episode?
Great throw to me. I loved this episode. I loved the back and forth and like seeing like how everything came together because she's like, remember this because I'm not going to remember it like in a few minutes, and just seeing the connection and her going back and what the connection was and all of that. I thought it was really well done, and I was like, oh, now I get it. Now I see why she was doing those in the other episodes. Like she was having those flashes and we didn't know what was going on, but it all came together and culminated in this episode. And it was great. I loved it.
All right, going down to Greg. It seems like going to Greg. Seems like Chris is what was he getting?
Some sushi.
He was getting some kind of food from the, he's high dollar, you know what I'm saying? He's getting like service at the motel here. Greg, what do you got, man? What do you think about the episode?
It was a little confusing for me. I was like in and out. I had the ads, so the ads were hitting me. I got some money on a basketball game, so I'm watching a little bit of basketball at the same time. So then I was watching the episode and I was going through it. I was a little confused on like all these like cut scenes and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, where is this going? Why is it like, oh, yeah, I get it like that. Like, why is she bouncing back and forth? And then I kind of put it all together. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, and then like really shifted from like really like funny, like with the costumes of them all being witches. Like, oh snap! Like one of those moments on the show, like you have like I don't know, some good TV movies have done that kind of trick where it's kind of like it's all pieced together and you finally it all snaps together, like kind of like a horror situation. It all snaps together for you, like, oh, okay, then everything gets together. There's some little odd things, but overall, it was a very good episode. I really enjoyed it.
We had Wicked. Did you notice that? We had a little Wicked there. Glenda and we had Wicked.
We did.
The only I don't mind them being dressed up as a different like villains and some of them like witches and stuff from the like Walt Disney
They're all
era.
Witches.
Right.
All
but
witches.
The only thing I would say is it is kind of jarring a little bit whenever it seemed like they were going more for decades, like, right? So we had like a 70s and the 80s and stuff like that. I have a
theory on this.
And then all of a sudden on this episode, it stops doing that. So like we didn't go to a 90s or early 2000s.
Disney show.
We went straight to like witches, like the different witches out of the Disney universe for some reason. So I'll say like, I don't know if I like that part or not. I think they should, if you're going to go with a certain method, I thought you should have stayed with it. Like,
all right, here's my theory on this. Before
go ahead, Adelia.
I think this is all based on William Kaplan / Billy's life and bedroom. Because if you noticed, there's posters for Wizard of Oz, and and Alice in Wonderland and movies like that up in his room.
Hmm.
He's watched videos of Jennifer and her we saw how he was connected to all the other witches before.
Mhm.
Like there is a little bit of something about Billy Kaplan's room in every single one of these trials. Like he's listening to Lorna Woo's song in his room. Like you go to the bar mitzvah, it's the table decorations are trees that look like the trees on the Witch's Road. Like I think Agatha opened the Witch's Road with the song that was being sung with everybody in episode 2. But I think the Witch's Road is based, the way it looks, based on Billy. Like I think it's more about Billy than it is about Agatha.
I can see that, and that's something with like the shorter episodes, because like it would have been cool if we could have like stuck with him as the other character like a little bit longer, so that we could have saw more of that. Like you happen to catch that, but I don't think anybody else would have caught that. You know, like this just plainly watching the show and not like paying attention to that kind of stuff.
If they don't like stop and analyze his room, yeah, I can see that. But
exactly,
I do think that this is a Billy thing more than an Agatha creation. This road.
Yeah, after you said that stuff, I mean, I totally agree with that point. Chris, what did you think about the episode? Just general terms.
I loved it. This is my favorite so far, but I know part of it is Patti LuPone. I wasn't expecting a pseudo time travel episode. I was very confused at first, but that was on purpose. I get it, and I loved it so much. And I got the Wicked reference, and when she turned the table, she was falling. She was defying gravity.
Yep.
Anyway, no, this was absolutely fabulous, and a way to give Patti LuPone an episode of her own focused on her. And it's really interesting how different she is compared to the other witches. Mm-hmm. And this idea that the power of divination isn't quite what we think it is. It's not so much that you see the future and the past. She's a time traveler and she can't control it. Mm-hmm. That's a fascinating aspect and something I've never seen done in this way before. I really enjoyed this. This was some clever writing. And with the episode being as short as it was, they were efficient in getting everything in there that we needed. It was fabulous.
Yeah, because well, I'll just go ahead and give like what I thought. I actually disagree a little bit with Chris on that last part. I think because of the short episode, like we just kept jumping around super quick. So somebody like Greg, right, that maybe likes the show, this isn't maybe their favorite show or whatever, and they're kind of watching it and they're letting the show grab their attention and everything, they're going to be totally lost. If you wasn't sitting there paying attention to this show from 1 second for every second, it's going to be really confusing because it does a lot of jumping around and it does it like super fast and like super erratic.
If you're not a fan of the show, you shouldn't have been watching then because you
no. There's what I'm saying is like a big
this
fan.
Is not the
There's
place
a difference
to start.
between no, and we got all levels here on this panel. The difference is you have somebody like Adelia who has adored the show for pretty much the whole run, who sat there and paid attention to somebody's room that's going to be watching every second of the television, maybe even if she was watching it on her own, may even pause it at a moment. There's different levels to this, right? So like someone who's like been me this whole show, that's been kind of in the middle, it was just like bloom, 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 bloom. Oh my God, this is just going around. And I get what they were doing and trying to accomplish.
Like that though.
No, I'm saying you could, because if the show was let's say this episode was like an hour long, you could sit a little bit with like the moment that you get into. But there's moments where, or you could even go to like another thing for a second and for a little bit and then come back. To me, it was bam, 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 like all this. Like she goes back to that one woman. She's now in another section. Then she's in the same tunnel, but now she's talking to him like at the first part and stuff like that. It's all done really quick. So what I'm saying
I'd argue that's how it is for Lilia.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would agree. I can agree with that.
She did say you better remember this because I'm not going to remember this in like 30 seconds, because it was all happening quick for her.
Right. But what I'm saying is you had somebody like Greg that had other things on his mind and had some attention.
Well, maybe you should be paying attention to one thing and not a billion.
Sorry. Well, I mean, you could be right. But I'm just saying.
A little thing.
Like I was watching it, I wasn't even paying attention to basketball, and I was just like, "Oh God!" Like I get what they're trying to do, but it was like just flashing in and out. It was like getting flashbangs, bam, 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 and I'm like,
I liked it. It was making me think.
There was a little thing that I really loved too. It's just a detail. With Agatha being the Wicked Witch of the West, the makeup job on her was so good. I've seen bad Wicked Witch of the West versions. This was clean. This was better than Broadway and Alphabet. Very clean.
If they would have done a bad job on any of these costumes, especially in this episode, I would have gave them a 0 on the episode. Like, no matter how good the rest of it was, no matter how good the writing is, they literally own the properties and have owned them since the time that they have been
Is
conceived.
Disney on Wizard of Oz?
No, they do not.
Oh yeah, that is
I
true.
didn't think so. I didn't.
Who's
think so.
Wait.
What?
Who owns Wizard of Oz?
So, okay, long story short, the MGM version, 1939, that we're all used to, MGM, they still own it. The idea of Wizard of Oz is in public domain.
So anybody can use it.
You can't use the
So
MGM stuff.
So who's doing Wicked?
Wicked,
the movie?
That's different because that's based on the Broadway play.
Yeah, but the movie is
Is it Disney?
Universal.
Okay.
Universal. Yeah.
Oh damn! Universal might come at them.
No, because the idea of Wizard of Oz is in the public domain. As long as you don't directly copy someone's copyrighted work,
And
like
say their name,
1939 movie, or you could call Patti LuPone Glinda because that's part of the books that are now public domain. But
in Wicked, she's not even Glinda; she's Galinda. That's how they got around that.
Yeah. But like Patti LuPone's costume in this episode is not a direct copy of Glinda the Good Witch in the film, nor of Galinda in Wicked. So that's how they can do that, because it's a different version. Sort of like you watch the Winnie the Pooh horror movie. The Winnie the Pooh that's in that movie does not look exactly like the Disney version of Winnie the Pooh that exists in the cartoons and stuff. So that's how they can do that, because Winnie the Pooh's in the public domain, but not the Disney version.
Why'd you have to go and break my heart like that, Adelia?
I'm sorry. It was the first example that came to mind.
But I can't believe they did Eeyore like they did.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring that up. I didn't need to bring that up.
And we've got 2 episodes to go. The revelation that Adelia was right again. Listen, guys.
I just thought there were too many references to death when it came to Rio. I'm sorry.
Adelia and I have been talking about this the entire series off camera, and she has said this, and I was like,
here though. She said it on this.
Yeah, I've said it
here too.
on this show since like episode 1 or episode 2. I was like, I'm pretty sure Rio's death, or maybe it was episode 3.
Lady Death. Yeah, she said Lady Death.
I'm pretty sure Rio's Lady Death. And she looks fantastic as Lady Death.
We didn't see her. What are we talking about? She was in the shadow.
It was in the shadow, but still, you could see it. She looks cool.
The original Green Witch.
I'm sorry. I absolutely adore Aubrey Plaza, so anything she's doing is fantastic, but she's been great.
Well, I figured
see her come back.
I figured she'd end up being the main antagonist eventually.
Oh yeah. Why would she be here?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the way the trailers presented it too, it was a little off, and I'm kind of bummed about it.
I cannot wait for her and Agatha's confrontation, which I think is probably episode 9. I'm wondering if that's going to be on the road, or if we're going to finish up the road in episode 8, and then they get back to, the world that we know it as we know it, and that's where the confrontation happens. So we'll see. I just don't think that if they're going to kill Agatha, which I'm not sure they're going to, but if they're going to have Rio kill Agatha, I don't think they do that on the road.
No.
Well, I think if Lady Death,
Agatha all along, it's going to be.
I think if Lady Death,
I'm going to ask you about the title of the show.
Yeah, but I think if that Lady Death wants them, they need to die, because she's too powerful. She's Lady Death, for God's sakes.
And the thing is,
none of these people that's on this team is going to be able to take Lady Death out, or shouldn't be able to. So, but I don't know.
Billy's got to survive, and we know he's got to get Tommy. Because
right, but I don't think
Young Avengers.
Yeah, but I don't think she's after him, right? Like I'm saying, because of the one episode, whenever she hits the speaker and then you could hear what she says, she's like, I just need my bodies. So if she's speaking about the witches that are on this thing, then I think all of them has to die. They're like, no,
I think it would be interesting if she.
I think Jen dies too.
I think it would be interesting if she sacrifices herself in recompense, true self-recompense for what she did to her son to get the power.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Because the thing that I noticed about episode 5 when I rewatched it is that Nicholas Scratch ends the trial when Billy says his name. I think it's because hearing Nicholas Scratch's voice from the beyond as a spirit punishes Agatha, because that's what she wants. You can clearly tell Agatha's after power, but what she really wants is her son back, and she's not going to get him back. And I don't think the road gives him back to her. So I just think that there's still something to play with the whole Rio. When she told that story about how she had to do something that hurt the person she loved, that involved Nicholas Scratch somehow, and how he ended up dead. So I think they resolve all of that somehow, but I do think that they might have to resolve it by Rio killing Agatha.
I'm hoping by the end of this too that Agatha, we find like a post-credit scene for this. Agatha finally truly meets Mephisto. We've been waiting for Mephisto forever, and we know she made a deal with Mephisto to get the book. So I really want to see Mephisto.
I heard a very interesting theory on Agatha that I want to say I don't think is right, because it would be weird to me if they did this. But when her mother said in episode 5 that she was born evil, I saw a very interesting theory that maybe Agatha is Mephisto's daughter.
Could be, but I don't know enough about those characters to like really throw in on these. Like, is that like a comic book?
I don't think that's a comic book thing. I mean, they've changed a lot of comic book stuff for the show anyways. Like the Salem 7 are not supposed to be the children of the witches that she killed in her coven, but they're supposed to be Nicholas Scratch's children. So they've changed all of that around already. So I could see them doing something like, okay, Agatha was born evil because she's Mephisto's daughter, but I don't think they're actually doing that. I just found the theory to be interesting.
I think something like that may happen, but I just don't think they're going to do it on a show like this. I don't think they're going to, because like Mephisto's a pretty big like bad guy. They could use for like a bigger moment or something like that they're going to want to do on the big screen and not put on like a show like this. And they would have like, I think if they'd have put it on a show like Agatha all along, it would have been promoted like that. There would have been like maybe a character, maybe we wasn't 100% sure what it was. But to the people that know these characters and stuff, they're going to be like, "Oh shit, that's what." So, kind of like a lot of people thought Aubrey Plaza was Lady Death, right? And then it got really spoiled by the toys. But a lot of people thought that she was Lady Death. So I don't.
Long story short for you, Justin. Wanda accidentally took part of Mephisto's soul, and that is what was used to create Billy and Tommy
in the comics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, they've already cast Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. So,
right. So I think he might come along, but I just don't know if they're going to have him.
I want Mephisto going. He's very nice.
They might hint towards him.
I don't want that at all, Chris.
Like I could see a moment where either Lady Death or maybe Agatha or something like at the end of this season, like something happens, and then one of them kind of they pan in and they kind of slowly look up and say, Mephisto, and
they've
then that's
already said
it.
Mephisto in this.
Yeah, they've already said it, but I'm saying like that was just them telling a backstory, right, of something that she did to possibly get powers and stuff. This right here would be like maybe he's about to walk in kind of thing, or kill him or something like, oh, he's there, but you're not going to see him kind of thing.
Plagueis sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's going to be like
Plagueis.
Like, oh, what's going on here?
I could see like a conversation. If they're going to have Mephisto, I could see like a conversation between Rio as Lady Death and Mephisto saying, here's the one brother, he's found the other. And then Mephisto shows up more in the Vision series, which is like the third series of this trilogy they're making with WandaVision and this series. And that's how he interacts with Billy and Tommy. I'm still not convinced we're going to get Tommy in this series. I think that Billy might find out where he is, but not actually find him. Because I don't know that they've cast an actor to play Tommy yet.
And this is Tommy for sure, right?
Tommy's his brother for sure. Yeah.
I mean, this is Billy, right? We're dealing with.
This is Billy for sure. Yeah, this is Billy Maximoff. Yeah. Marvel put that out.
Okay.
Even before episode 6 aired, they put out the picture of him with the crown and everything, and said, you know, Billy Maximoff has arrived in it, basically.
Now,
so it's him.
Because he asked that question at the tarot reading: am I Billy or am I Tommy?
Because
Billy or William, because he's inhabiting William Kaplan's body.
Oh, okay.
But like I will say earlier, because I always strike up stuff to have conversations about. But I was going to say before we started discussing some of the stuff that I was talking about is I do think, even with the criticism that I had earlier, that this is probably my favorite episode now. Because to me, it had, if you take away see, this isn't even saying a bad thing about it. I just think the episode should have had a little more time so that like we could bam. And we didn't go, like, it had a cut from her, right, doing something, and she's doing something. And then, like, maybe cut to maybe Agatha and Billy a little more in between if we had more time in the episode, so that it just didn't go bloom, 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 and it was just her every time. And it let, like, the people watching kind of like, oh, shit. So Homegirl's going through this stuff. But it would, like, cut from her straight to her again. And then, like, at a different time of the thing. But... And then that's what I was talking about earlier. But with that being said, I do think this is my favorite episode so far because I didn't get the feeling of having kind of weird feelings about like they were kind of pretty much serious. Like they did the jokes in this episode better than I think the end of last episode, for instance. Like they had jokes that were in here, but they were like sparing and put in their little spots, and like that wasn't too like overboard to me or whatever. It didn't make me feel any different about the episode. They had a couple of jokes, but it still felt in a serious tone, and so I like them keeping a better tone in this particular. I haven't actually looked it up, but I don't know if there's different directors for each episode. So I think the person, if there are different directors, whoever directed this episode, I think did better than possibly some of the others, or it might be the same director. But this episode, the feeling of it being a serious thing, like we had swords coming down on them. You know, like I said, there was like one joke about, can you hurry up? Where, you know, the thing's coming down. It was kind of said in a joking manner, like that kind of stuff. Perfectly okay with. All it episode felt like went smoothly.
Rachel Goldberg.
This episode was directed by Jack Schaefer, who is the showrunner of the series. She also directed episodes 1 and 2. Rachel Goldberg and Ganja Montero have directed the other episodes. Rachel Goldberg directed episodes 3, 4, and 5, and Ganja Montero directed episode 6 and is directing episodes 8 and 9.
Okay.
Good split.
And 8 or 9 is coming out at the same time, right?
Yeah, they're both coming out next week, the day before Halloween.
Okay.
You know what? The series is great. I think we'll stop right here. We don't need to go any further.
You saying the series should stop, or you should say our recap?
Oh, we're good. We don't need to go further. It's okay. We're good.
I just wants to eat his sushi.
Oh, bro, you gotta go do sushi poops.
It's lobster sushi, dude.
Oh, bro, it's lobster sushi poops. Is that what's gonna happen? I mean,
and I got shrimp fried rice. Like, I heard.
Oh, you're just
all right.
You're just trying to eat it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Chris has to eat.
She's trying to eat, bro. Get out of here, man.
Haven't you seen me eating off? Like I just moved over here.
Pretty much gave us your thoughts. You could have just like private message, like, "Hey, bro, like I've got food I want to eat. I'm gonna get out of here," and everybody would have been like, "All right, cool."
No, it's
fine. Like Chris
this
got
review
his
is
food.
brought
That's
to you
why.
by Coke.
No, it's not. Chris got his food right after we started the review, Justin.
Yeah, because I said he was getting a motel service or something. He's somewhere. He stayed in town somewhere. He's getting that catered. But anyway, with that being said, Chris is trying to eat them lobster sushi or whatever he's got over there, fancy food, and like this ain't like a very long episode. We've went longer than the episode already, and it doesn't feel like it. But because this was like what, a 25-minute episode, something like that.
It was 37 minutes with credits.
Okay, so we still got 7 more minutes. Well, hang out, Chris.
Yeah.
7 more minutes. All right. With that being
No.
said, let's go ahead. Final thoughts. Any kind of grades you want to give on the episode, whatnot, and we'll get out of here. So we'll just keep the same. Well, you know what? Chris is like, he's ready to put something in his mouth. Chris, go ahead, man. Tell us what you grade the episode, what you think about the season so far, and any last thoughts as well, like about the show.
Episode by far, this is a Patti LuPone special, A+. I can do no wrong with her in this episode. This is great so far. To me, this is the best episode of the season. This was I didn't know what was going on, where we were going to go, and as things got better and better, like it just kept improving. And I love that she righted her own ship and was willing to sacrifice herself to do the right thing to help, because I think she knows more, and she kind of gave them tips. Like she knows what is about to come. And I love that. And Patti LuPone just gives everything in this, and she's sweet and kind and kooky and weird, and loved it. A+, recommend it.
Gotcha. Now you can jump out, Chris, if you need to put something.
Right. I'm gonna eat the lobster.
Yeah, go eat that lobster,
Chris.
son. Damn, man. Golly, Greg. We didn't actually have a lot of the road on here, but your thing says no road. We did have a couple of scenes on the road. But what'd you think about the episode? Any kind of grade or whatever you want to give it about the season so far? Episode tonight.
I thought, like always, someone had to fall on the sword this episode, and it was a great episode for someone to do that. And I thought it was very well. After it kept you off base enough to where the reveal and everything came together, and kind of like, just a lot of whoa moments. So I really enjoyed it. So definitely a B+ for me.
Yeah, I will say this. I actually do think that in a lot of ways that her story was told well enough that I was kind of like feeling, when she's falling and choosing to sacrifice herself for everybody else. I felt it a little bit. So like I give them props on that, but I'm telling you right now, show goes from whatever I've got it to 0 if she's alive at the end of this show. Just letting you know. Because it just rips any of that away. This has been my favorite episode so far, and if they bring her back to life, that rips out, and this becomes the worst episode to me.
What if you find out, like Adelia said, this is not even the real road? This is some kind of Billy.
Well, I mean, I think it's the real road, but I do think
it's the real road.
Okay.
I just think it's for Billy. I don't.
Yeah,
think it's
most
for
people
Agatha.
think. Yeah, most people think it's for Agatha, but I think Adelia may be
okay.
right. It's actually like Billy that is the catalyst to what's going on the road. Even though it seems like it might be for Agatha. So I actually
do you think the title plays anything into the overall story, like finale or anything?
I don't get the title of this show being Agatha All Along anymore.
Okay.
No, they just did that. I think they actually put some names out there, and they were kind of.
There was like 4 or 5 different names for this show. Agatha, House of Harkness, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, Agnes of Westview was out there for a while. There was one that was a play on The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And then it was revealed it was called Agatha All Along. So
Agatha, House of Harkness
into the show.
I'd say Agatha, House of Harkness would have been a better name for the show. The only reason
Coven
why they
of
went
Chaos,
maybe even the Coven of Chaos, yeah. I mean, it sounds like a wrestling tag team, but like we could go with that. But the one thing I would say is like I think they went with Agatha All Along just because that song, it kind of became a meme or whatever, like whenever in the WandaVision show. So, but yeah, Brandi,
Yes.
do your thing, girl. Like, what are you talking about? Yes,
Breakdown.
Brandi breakdown. We've already broke down the whole episode. We know what happened. I like this episode. This is definitely probably my favorite. I love, like I told you, all the twists and turns. I know people didn't like that. Oh, it was too fast. I thought it was just perfect pacing for me. I loved it. You pay attention to it. When we knew, of course, we knew that Aubrey Plaza was deaf. In the way that she was like, I want my bodies. So Lilia gave her the bodies. She gave her 7, Salem 7, and her 8. She gave her 8 bodies. Satisfy that one. But for right now, yeah, I don't know. If they're all like dying, I don't see Jennifer making it the next
No, not Jen. Damn it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't care if they all die or not, because I mean, there's ways where a character could survive, whatever. But like I said, this episode tonight, it's going to be
But-
worthless to me if she's back. There's no point in this episode, almost period, except for them being able to escape the house, maybe. But that would be the only thing this episode would be for.
I don't think if we see Alice and Lilia again, they're going to be alive. I think we'll see them in like the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I'm fine with. They're still dead, like whatever. But
You just don't want at the end, like Agatha be like, "Oh, I choose my friends over power."
look, man, I don't want
I'll
a
come
nightmare.
back.
Listen, I don't. This is Halloween time too, but I don't want a Nightmare on Elm Street ending where she takes out Freddy, and then all of a sudden it shows her standing outside in the sunlight. She gets in the car. Everybody that died in the whole movie's like alive in the car, and then all of a sudden Freddy.
I don't
becomes the
think we're
car
gonna
somehow.
get that.
That's what I'm
We're
saying.
gonna get that.
I don't want all these people to die, and then the last episode, oh, it was because of magic, and then everybody's back hugging each other. Like I don't want that.
I don't think
But
we're getting that. I think if we see them again, they'll be in the underworld or
Oh,
whatever
that'd
it's
be
called
something.
in Marvel.
What about Force Ghosts?
No Force ghosts. We already had a ghost.
All right. So Adelia. Well, never mind. Go ahead.
Brandi, continue.
Yo, I didn't know she had anything else. We was all like
You
discussing
all
stuff
just started
freely.
talking, and I was like, okay,
yeah.
well,
We
Well, that's
totally
fine,
started
but I
talking.
didn't know you had anything else. Go ahead, girl. Do your thing.
yes, it was this is probably my favorite episode of the season, and I give it an 8.5. Not an A or B or C. We go by numbers here. Greg, you know better.
No, man, Greg can do whatever he wants because
No, he followed Chris's lead, but Chris
Yeah.
didn't know, but
I'm gonna
Greg
give it a letter
does.
score too, man. Because
Sushi threw me off.
I'm doing a letter score too, man. Because like the numbers is like
No.
sometimes I want to give
No.
an 8.57 or 8.58.
No, you don't do that.
Ferris
and
definitely
Ferris-
complains about the decimal
Yeah.
points on the number.
Yeah, but Ferris can go whatever, dude. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? If he's gonna put restrictions on the numbers, I'm going letters. Go
Okay.
ahead.
You can
But
do that.
Yeah,
Starting
but
with Z. Starting with Z.
I can't wait for the next episodes. Justin will be here, so we'll be watching it together. He has no choice but to watch it with me.
Watch what?
Yeah. The next few episodes of the show.
I'm watching the next few episodes, man.
With me. You're gonna be here with me.
Boston Roads.
I mean, that might make it like more difficult.
Yeah, it will make it more difficult because then I can actually physically smack him.
No. We'll have this next week live from Brandy's house. Brandi and Justin.
Look at his face. He's like, oh shit. No. Rubbing his face already. Look at him. He's like, oh man.
All right.
You're in trouble.
I mean, we're waiting for. I'm not gonna try to go to Adelia because I don't. Did you have something else, or is Adelia free to speak?
Adelia is always free to speak. You're not. But
Wow,
Adelia-
that's. You literally did the whole look and everything at everybody a while ago, and now you're saying, "Well, everybody can talk." No, they can't because you'll get. Go ahead, Adelia.
You started it. You went on. I was like, okay, and then Adelia was answering back to you. So it was a.
All right. If you want to
love
see
output
more
travel.
fun stuff between Brandi and Justin, check out the clip of couples therapy that we put up on the channel today. I really enjoyed finding that clip last night, and it's very funny to me.
Just
A
typing another
discussion
clip out.
when While You Were Sleeping turns into a discussion on flirting, is what it's called. So, I absolutely love this show. Like, I can't put into words how made for me this show is. I've always loved the witchy stuff in Marvel, and getting a whole series of it is just fantastic. Patti LuPone is a goddess. I give this episode a 9.5. I loved everything about it except for the fact that Lilia died, but I understand why Lilia died. And this series overall is at like a 9. I love this series so much.
I'm at an 8.5 for the whole series.
Man, I'll tell you
8.4
what.
7.
If I didn't have a camera that'd be catching my crotch area, I would stand up and give Adelia a standing ovation because of how she said what she said. Okay, she said, "The show's made for me. I love it." Earlier, I'm the one that's mostly the most critical because I do try to like look into things. I try to do my best at, judging everything and being fair about it and stuff like that. So like earlier in the episode, I had criticisms. Even though I think this is my favorite episode of the series, I still had criticisms on this episode. Not as many as I've had on some of the past episodes. But she didn't say, oh, you're stupid. Oh, you're wrong. Oh, this and that. It is what it is. When she said things that she loves about this show and that she loves about this episode, I didn't do the same thing. I didn't go after her and call her idiot or a moron or she don't know what the hell she's talking about and everything else whenever we're talking about it. It's one of those things, old ass saying back in the day, different strokes for different folks, right? This is not my kind of show, right? I realize that. I am still having fun, like watching it with you guys and stuff like that, but not going to lie. If I didn't have a YouTube channel where we did these things, or even if I didn't do the YouTube thing and we were just in a Discord together watching these shows together, I would still watch because I'm having, enough fun watching it with you guys and talking about it afterwards that it's worth my time and it's worth me watching it. Because I would have, I give this episode, for instance, a B+. I was about a C on the show as a whole so far. That's still a passing grade, although it's not not a very good passing grade, right? If my son brought me a C, I'm like, son, you got to work on that shit, okay? Like you can't stay there because the next thing you know, it's a D, right? But I've been at a C at this whole show. And this episode, though, like I said, the particular episode's B+. Now we get to the end, and she survives somehow and actually alive. Now, like Adelia said, if we go to the underworld, we go to hell, right? We see Mephisto or something, and they're there in spirit, basically, or whatever, but they're in hell, so they are dead. I would not care. If they even speak to them, and they're in it like through a seance or something like that, and they're there like a force ghost or something, like from Star Wars, I'll be fine with that as long as they're dead.
Yes,
But if she comes back, especially this one, because this was the episode. The other episodes, one of my biggest complaints was the people that died. I didn't think was meaningful. Like I didn't feel it. This episode, I actually felt it. So this episode's going to affect me more if they jerk away why I felt it. Because I actually thought they spent a little more time with this character. They fleshed her out a little bit more, I thought. And I was, like I said, I was like kind of feeling her character and like the things she's having to go through and all that. And she makes the sacrifice. And that'll pull at your heartstrings a little bit. That'll make you think a little bit. And if they take that away, then this episode becomes nothing to me. It was like, oh shit, I wasted my time because you know what? And the MCU has done that before, and that's why it's even getting brought up. But no, I'm just saying, give you a standing ovation because that's how you do it. You don't, and that's how we all need to get better at this stuff, man. Like straight up, like stop doing it. You can dislike something and you can like something and like it in the right way and not attack people for if they do like it or they don't like it. We have different opinions here and we don't do that to each other. And I just think that needs to spread across like the whole gosh darn internet when it comes. And it's so sad to say that because we're just talking about entertainment. This is a fake story.
Yeah.
It's a fake story based on comic book characters.
Totally agree, Justin. And one of the reasons you and I can have a conversation like this is because we're fully grown adults who don't get hung up on other people having different opinions. And I think more people need to get that state of mind.
And we talked about a couple of serious topics during this particular episode.
We've talked about serious topics during this episode. We talk about serious topics in our Discord sometimes, which you can join if you become a member over on Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/LGR_network. $3 a month gets you into our Discord where you can hang out with us in voice chat and talk about all kinds of stuff because we talk about all kinds of stuff in our voice chat.
Well,
that's
Greg barely.
Segue.
He used to be in there on the daily, man. Now he like barely even shows up.
Yeah, Greg doesn't show up.
I'll get back
anymore.
Sometimes he doesn't even. Sometimes he doesn't even show up past the credits when they get played on this show.
You made me choke. I'm sorry. That's why.
That's
what was the segue? That was a good segue. Right?
Ultimate segue right there. That's just ultimate. Bad props.
Thank you.
That's what she said. That's all I gotta say, man. That's what I'm talking about.
And then in Greg's spine, I went to go swallow. I had my spin that time. Just like, that's why I had to mute myself and laugh.
I don't know who's all going to be here coming up this week, but I'm actually going on a vacation. We kind of hinted at it earlier or whatever. I'm going on a vacation. I won't be in the deep South Alabama this coming up week. I'm gonna be making my way on a travel. I'm calling it the Love Tour. I'm making love all the way to Boston.
Oh,
right? I'm gonna be making sweet love across the United States, South Carolina, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. I'm stopping by Philadelphia by the Bell, making love there. I'm going straight to New York, and then we're gonna hop over and skip the. No, you know what? We might even see Boston first, then go hop down to Fall River, and then this show actually has the Salem 7. I'm gonna go to where they were born. I'm gonna make love there. Maybe even on a tombstone or something. Okay,
No,
that's what's happening.
No,
we're calling it the
we are
Love
not.
Tour of America, Greg. You know what I'm saying? Too sad you're not going to be there, Greg. I'll send you video. Okay, you'll be fine.
I think he killed Brandi.
I'll send you a little video, maybe even with some audio included. But with that being
Just
said,
tour with Greg. Greg is going from Texas to Alabama to Massachusetts with Justin.
all right. With that being said, guys, let's get out of here, man. Everybody be good and have conversations, have disagreements, but do it with respect for each other.
Pray for me, please.
We're all human beings, just trying to make it. We're all human beings, just trying to make love in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with that, good night.
Pray for me.
It was Agatha all along.
I need your prayers. Many of them.